Yesterday, I made a video about the war that is going on between Israel and Hamas. I was also able to post a short on TikTok, and I've had some engagement from my viewers. And most of them are saying that Israel did not exist during the Old Testament. It was until 1948 when Israel was now recognized as a country, but then it was referred to as Jerusalem. And I felt like making this video to tell the history of Israel and how it is related to the end time prophecies. But then I want to read the comments that I saw, and I would like to react on that. So the first comment was from, let me just locate it. Okay, this account called Real is Rare. He says that Palestine is what they called Jerusalem, not Israel. In the Holy Bible map, Israel don't exist. Right? And I feel he might be right at that point. And that's why I said I'm preparing a video on how Israel came into existence in today's life. And he responded and said that Jews in 1896, just 5%, while the Muslim in Palestine, that is Jerusalem, is 85%, and 10% Christian. 1900 to 1940, Jews came to Palestine during Hitler's oppression. Okay, so he's giving a short history about how Jews came to Palestine, and he links this to Hitler's oppression. All right, let me read also another comment. We have this comment from this account, and it says, brainwashed, Israel was born in 1948, which is a testament that the Bible was written by a white man. This is totally wrong, okay? This is totally wrong. And we have someone called Kombe SWT. He responded and said, and Quran also was written by Muhammad, another human being. I'm not going into who wrote the Bible or who wrote the Quran, but then I want to pick the point that Israel was born in 1948. And according to history, that also might be true. Okay, let me read the last comment from this account. He says that Israel was not there before World War II. And this is from Kiprotich. This is a fellow Kenyan. We have another one called MJ Mapanga, says Israel is an apartheid regime. The Palestinians also pray to the same God. Okay, so you see all these arguments are coming out to say that Israel did not exist during the Old Testament. I was listening to an interview between Jordan and Benjamin, who is the Prime Minister for Israel, and I felt like sharing this with you because he tells the history of how Israel came into existence. So please allow me to play that video so that you can be informed about the history of Israel. So let's watch this video.
Well, I'd start, Herzl was what I call our modern Moses, but I'd actually start with the original Moses. The Jewish people have lived in the land of Israel, what is now the state of Israel, have lived here and have been attached to this place for about 3,500 years, 3.5 millennia. Now, for the first 2 millennia, roughly, of that time, we were living in what is described in a text commonly known as the Bible. So the Bible describes how the Jewish people lived on this land, were attached to this land, fought off conquerors, sometimes were conquered, but stayed on their land. And that continued for a very long time until roughly the 7th century, actually, after the birth of Christ, okay? For roughly 2,000 years. We were conquered by the Romans, we were conquered by the Byzantines. They did a lot of bad things to us, but they didn't really exile us, contrary to what people think, okay? The loss of our land actually occurred when the Arab conquest took place in the 7th century. The Arabs burst out from Arabia, and they did something that no other conqueror, not the Romans, not the Byzantines, not the Greeks before them, not Alexander the Great, nobody did before. They actually started taking over the land of the Jewish farmer. They brought in military colonies that took over the land. And gradually, over the next 2 centuries, the Jews became a minority in our land. So it is under the Arab conquest that the Jews lost their homeland. The Arabs were the colonials. The Jews were the natives dispossessed. Well, that happens in history. The Jews were dispossessed. We were flung to the far corners of the earth, suffered unimaginable suffering because we had no homeland, but we didn't disappear, and we never gave up the dream of coming back to our ancestral homeland. So generation after generation, Jews could be in Warsaw, they could be in Yemen, they could be in China. And they said, next year in Jerusalem, we'll come back next year in Jerusalem. Well, that was made possible because the Arabs who had conquered the land basically left it barren. They never made it their own. It was a barren land. It really practically it was an empty land. And in the 19th century, the idea of coming back next year in Jerusalem became a reality. By the way, in part because of Christian Zionist support for the idea of the Great Return. The Jews came back in the 19th century to the land of Israel. The result of this return was that we started building farms, factories, places of employment. Arabs from nearby countries started immigrating, and they call themselves Palestinians. They reconstructed history and said, we've been here for centuries. No, they haven't. They weren't there at all, and they didn't have a national consciousness. We came back, made it our land, and we said, okay, we now will live together. We decided to establish a state in 1948. That's 75 years ago. And we said, everybody can live here. The Arabs said, there can't be a Jewish state. You have no right to be here. It's our land. It's not your land. It's been our land for 3,500 years. If you took over somebody's apartment, knocked them out, dispossessed them, and they never gave up the claim, and they said, it's our claim, and you left this barren dump, okay? And the families, the progeny of the people you kicked out, came back, rebuilt the house. You cannot come back and tell them, you don't belong here, we're going to kick you out, especially since you're latecomers who've come to live in part of the house, which is what the so-called Palestinians are, okay? We say to them, you can live here, we can live here, but it's our land, it's our state. And the reason this conflict continues is because the Palestinians, who represent the colonial powers, the Arab conquest of the Middle East and beyond, they're saying, you have no right for a Jewish state. Well, we do. If any people has any right to a state, if any people never gave up their dreams of returning to their ancestral home, if any people rebuilt their home from nothing, from barren, wasted land, it's the Jewish people. To tell them, you have suffered more than anyone else. You have never lost your dream of coming back and rebuilding your national life in your ancestral homeland. You have no right to be there. But the Arabs who are trying to destroy you, they have that right. That is a complete perversion of history and also a complete perversion of justice. The Jews belong to this land belongs to the Jews. The Palestinians are free to live here next to us, among us, but they're not free to demand the dissolution of the Jewish state. That is not justice. That is injustice. That's the shortest lecture I can give you about Jewish history.
Okay, so Benjamin gives a clear history of how Israel came into existence. And in fact, I'm wrong to say that came into existence, because from time immemorial, Israel existed even from the Old Testament. We've read about Israel. We've seen what the Israelites went through. We've seen how they were fought and how they were killed even in their own land. And he says that when the Arabs came to colonize them, they threw them away. They threw the Jews away from their own land. So the idea that Israel existed after some time is not true, because that land was there. It is only in 1948 when now they were regathering, and by the way, the Bible talks of regathering of Jerusalem, okay? So when they came back, the Jews came back to their land and they started rebuilding that land, and they now created a government for themselves. Why? Because they wanted to take back their positions. And something cool is that the Israelites are saying that we do not have a problem with the Palestinians, we do not have a problem with anyone, any Arab, anyone, any race can come and stay in this land. But the fact is that the land belongs to the Jews. They have tried their level best to rebuild this land that was broken and was left desolate by the Palestinians during the time that they were killed and sent out of their own land. So my friends who've been commenting that Israel did not exist during the Old Testament, I hope now you have the clear picture of what happened in Israel. And the Bible says that he will make Jerusalem like a stone, and whoever tries to lift it will not be able. Whoever will try to come against Israel, the Bible says that they are going not to be successful. In fact, he says that he's going to make Israel and Jerusalem an intoxicating drink to everyone who tries to come against it. I read that in Zechariah 12 when I was doing that video. If you didn't watch it, please find a link in the description. So Israel has been there since time immemorial, over 3 millennia. In fact, over 3.5 millennia, Israel has existed. So when you come out and say that Israel was not there, that Palestinians are the rightful owners of Israel, then you are wrong. These are the guys who came to colonize Israel, who fought Israelites and sent out Jews. But then that does not qualify them to own the land. And a time is coming when the Israelites will take over their land and they will send out these Palestinians and they will take victory over Israel. And given time, it is going to come to pass. So friends, I hope that this video answers all your questions about the existence of Israel and the state of Israel at this present time. If you have friends and family who do not know about this, I would recommend that you share this video with them. Otherwise, check in the description. I've linked the video I did about the war between Israel and Hamas and how it is connected to the end time prophecy. Hey, you've reached the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a like and also subscribe for more videos. Now, click here to watch our next video and I'm pretty sure that I will see you in that video. Peace.